G'day my fellow media collectors, I'm Troy and today we're looking at Muerto is an independent superhero film that was produced by Penininula Films and Three Line Productions, and the official premiere was held on the 1st of March 2007 at the Latino Film Festival in San Diego, California. This film is one of the first live-action films based on a Latino indie comic book character, and it went on to win Best Feature Film at the Whittier Film Festival in 2008. Javier Hernandez, the original comic creator, was actively involved in the development of the film, ensuring the adaptation respected the source material and its cultural roots. This DVD has a runtime of 90 minutes. It was first released on DVD on the 18th of September 2007. And it was distributed by Echo Bridge Home Entertainment. This story follows Diego, a child who is marked by the mysterious old man during a border crossing, unknowingly initiating him into an ancient Aztec vengeance prophecy. Years later, while en route to the Day of the Dead festival, Diego dies in a car accident. He awakens in Mictlan, the Aztec underworld, where the god of death sacrifices him and sends him back to the world of the living as Muerto, the supernatural being tasked with fulfilling an ancient prophecy. Resurrected with powers to take or restore life, Diego must confront the Aztec god's demands for 3 human sacrifices, including his beloved Maria. Torn between his love and his destiny, Diego battles to save Maria and defy the gods who control him. Now, the script for this film, it does deserve some recognition for its ambition and heart, even if, well, it struggles with its cohesion and depth. The screenplay tries its best to balance mythological world building with emotional character development, but it kind of struggles to decide what kind of movie it wants to be. As in, 1 minute it's this brooding supernatural horror movie, the next it leans into this angsty teen drama. I just can't seem to decide. The narrative moves at a sluggish pace, with the start of the movie having promising and atmospheric opening, but then the middle portion of the movie just kind of meanders, with certain scenes feeling more padded and really underdeveloped, taking too long to establish the stakes, and let's face it, having the climax feel a little rushed at the end and emotionally unearned, with a lot of key plot points being either glossed over or really just poorly explained, leaving the viewer probably more confused or indifferent by the end of it. While Diego, he's pretty well fleshed out as a character, unfortunately most of the supporting characters are not so much, with them serving more like primarily as narrative functions rather than sort of fully realised individuals. And look, let's face it, the dialogue did not help this much at all, with a lot of things being very stiff or just more about exposition and sometimes feeling a little unintentionally awkward. Now, while this film's script tries so hard to be this real passionate adaptation that honours its source material and its cultural roots, it sadly ends up falling flat. And what should have been this real bold mythological coming of age story ends up, well, feeling like a muddled, undercooked mix of, how can I put it, horror cliches and half-formed characters. And let's face it, the sluggish storytelling just did not help it. And for that, oh God, look, the best I could probably do for this is probably a 9 out of 30. So this film is an adaptation from the original independent comic book El Muerto, the Aztec Zombie, created by Chinaro, I hope I got that right, artist Javier Hernandez in the late 1990s. The film retains much of its cultural backdrop and is deeply rooted in its pre-Columbian mythology, specifically the Aztec Pantheon, but softens the tone slightly to make the narrative more, shall we say, accessible for the broader audience that potentially will watch this movie. Now look, this is very close to the comic book, which is always a bonus, and I think on the limited budget, which was estimated to be at about $1 million, they pulled it off nicely, though I thought the budget was a lot less, as the movie looks really cheap. And I mean really cheap.
What? Where did all that money go?
Anyway, now I did read that our star Wilmer Valderrama, I hope I got that right too, described the film as The Crow meets Desperado meets Spawn, which I gotta say, that really sums up this character to an absolute T, as he has Spawn-like powers, dresses like the Desperado, and, well, let's face it, he has some real Crow-like face paint going on, which makes me think as well...
I didn't steal, I borrowed.
Now for the cast, I'll just pull it down from here. And it is a small cast, but with a few character actors you may have seen before in other stuff. Oh look, I did recognise a few faces, but to the life of me, I couldn't remember their names, you know, those kind of actors. But with a small cast like this, I'm just going to focus on our main actors, which of course will start off first off with our main star of the movie, Wilmer Valderrama, as Diego. Now, you will know Wilmer from That 70s Show, but this time around he steps far outside his comfort zone in El Muerto, trading the comedic persona for this brooding, tortured soul. Now, while he tries to bring some heart to the role and embody the spiritual and emotional weight of Diego's journey through this film, unfortunately, Wilmer's performance lacks any emotional depth or gravitas needed to carry this film. He fails. He almost he falls into this real campy take on the character at times, very telenovela territory, if you know what I mean. But it didn't help that the script was a little on the, shall we say, thin side, and in probably some inconsistent direction he may have got when doing this part. Now, Angie Cepeda as Maria, well, she's Diego's love interest in this, and her performance is kind of lifeless and overly passive, and she just fails to generate any real chemistry with Diego. But it didn't help that her character is very underwritten and often is relegated to the role of the damsel in distress, making her character seem more like a plot device than a person. Joel David Moore as Zach plays Diego's friend, and while Moore tries his best, I think he just feels a little tonally off on this movie, as he is in, it's almost like he's in a different movie. That's probably a better way to describe it. His delivery comes across as this quirky and sarcastic at times, but usually at the wrong times, undercutting the film's darker tone. And in the end, this character adds little to the story and just feels just really out of place. And last of all, we have Tony Polana as the caretaker. Now, for me, he's probably the only shimmering light in this movie, acting wise, okay? He's not hitting it out of the park, but his performance actually feels probably the most authentic one there, as he brings a sense of gravitas to his role as the priestly / father figure type sort of role. He tries to bring weight to the spiritual and mythological exposition in this film, but he's really constrained by a weak script with some pretty ordinary dialogue, and let's face it, some awkward pacing at times that does not help. While the cast of this movie is clearly committed to the project, they're just held back by uneven writing and direction, which leads them to, how can we put it, their ambition being overshadowed by the poor execution. That's probably the best way to describe it. With that, I'm going to give this, at best, 6 out of 20. Okay, as we look at the disc in case, look, this looks pretty good. Like, that cover really sucked me in, and it made me think this was a lot more big budget than it actually was. There's the side, not too bad at all, and the back, that kind of matches it at well. This is the first release. There is a second release I found out later, but this is the first one. And the disc, well, that's a little disappointing-ish. Very plain, very mass-produced, shall we say. Anyway, look, I don't mind the look of it. The front really sucks you in, and like I said, it's amazing how they can make these movies look like they're $1 million on the cover, but as soon as you put the movie in, it's a different story. So look, for that, I'm probably going to give this, I don't know, maybe a 6 out of 10. So there are no special features on this DVD at all. It's just the movie. But since I've done my research, I found out they actually did a re-release of the movie, and it was retitled The Dead One, and it included a whole heap of special features, which were a commentary by director Brian Cox and Javier Hernandez, Drawing the Dead Art, a tutorial by Javier Hernandez, slideshow of the original comic book, Day of the Dead featurette, making of The Dead One, fun on the set of The Dead One, a Spanish track, and 2 DVD-ROM special features. So look, if you love your special features, definitely go look for that one. But for me, when I was looking for this movie, there was only this one. I had no idea that there were 2 different versions. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to look for that second version if it's cheap, that's for sure. And look, as this one has no special features on it, and we're reviewing this one, I'm afraid I'm going to have to give it a 0 out of 10. Okay, as I bring up the Rotten Tomatoes scorecard, as you can see, the critics came in at, nothing. Okay then. Well, let's look at the audience score. That came in at 28%. Anyway, look, so when I checked it, checked the reviews, there was only 1 critic, and for that, let's just say it wasn't a great review, and you know, 1 review isn't enough to put up a score. But the audiences, well, there was about 250 reviews there, but even with that small selection of reviews, it was a resounding thumbs down for the movie. I do find it hard to believe that this film actually won an award at a film festival. For being this average, I could only imagine how bad the other films must have been. Yeesh. Anyway, look, if we round this score out, oh God, the best we can do for that, yep, is a 2 out of 10. So, as I do this month of foreign film reviews, this week brings us to Mexico and into the world of El Muerto, the Aztec zombie. Now, for me, I've never heard of this character before. I got this movie a few years back, you know, back on eBay, but that's probably not that hard to believe, as I don't think too many people do actually know about this character, as it is based off an indie comic creator in California, printed by his own little label, Los Comics. So don't worry, you're not the only one that hasn't heard of him as well. But I should mention that this character is not the same character that appears in the Marvel Comics. That is a totally different version. So for me, I walked into this movie with no preconceptions of what it would be, and straight away you are hit with the fact that this is a low budget, and I mean very low budget.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a low-budget movie, but the script is solid.
But look, that's not a bad thing to be a low budget movie. Some great low budget movies. It's more that it really shows up on screen in this one. And for me, that's what sort of holds it back for this movie is the budget, as I feel there are some aspects of this movie that needed, shall we say, a bit more of a hit of money thrown at it, if you know what I mean, to sort of zhuzh it up for the camera.
Okay, well, good luck trying to polish a turd.
And also, it hits you straight away, especially in the first act of the movie. This guy is just a Mexican version of the Crow. Now, I read some things where the creator Javier Hernandez addresses that, but for me, it feels like he does his best to say that they're kind of, oh look, they kind of look similar, but they're totally different characters. Nothing to see here. Yeah, look, I don't buy it.
Damn right!
Yeah, sure, they look very similar, and I mean very similar, and their story is basically the same. The characters die in a tragic death, are brought back from the dead by a supernatural force, you know, tied to an ancient or mystical belief, with them being brought back by their love of their partners, and our hero seeks justice or revenge after death. In a nutshell, that's the same bloody character, and the story, it's just like, put it this way, it's like This Is the Crow, but
He's Latino.
anyway, in terms of a movie to watch, it's more of a, oh yeah, I've seen it, than a, oh god, I can't wait to see that again kind of movie, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a watch once thing at best, just to say you've seen it. And look, for that, I'm gonna give this, oh god, if it's lucky, a 5 out of 20. For availability, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5, as look, it's not too hard to find on eBay or Amazon or any of your online retail outlets. For collectability, I'm going to put this at a 2 out of 5, as it's not super collectible, it's very common, and it's more of a filler than a killer. The average price you are looking for is somewhere between the $8 to $19 for DVD, so it always pays to shop around. Let's go to the scorecard and see how this one shapes up. Now, for the final score, we get a grand total of 28 out of 100. Ouch, that's not a great score for a not so great movie. Mate, this is a cheap copy of another film. Honestly, do yourself a favour and give this Temu Crow a miss and go watch the OG Crow movie again for sure. Actually, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I think I might do that.
Where does he think he's going?
Next week on the show, we have Danger Diabolique, the 1968 movie on DVD. This time we have an Italian film based on the comic series Diabolique. Can't wait to check that one out. Thanks for watching.